Hello friends, today we will discuss the selection process of rolling contact bearings. Okay, these rolling contact bearings are also known as anti-friction bearings. So, first of all, we will discuss what is the requirement or what are the specification needed for design selection of your anti-friction bearing or the rolling contact bearing. Okay, so if you see the minimum requirement for selection of an anti-friction bearing or the rolling contact bearing is the radial load acting over the bearing, the axial load acting over the bearing, the diameter of the shaft where the bearing is to be fitted, and the rotation of the your shaft which is taking place in RPMs and the life of the bearing, that is L10 life, or the life at any probability or any reliability. So we need in actual four things. That means the loading condition, the dimension of the shaft. Sometimes this dimension of the shaft is not given. Then how to select, then that we will discuss when we'll attempt some problems for selection of anti-friction bearings. Okay, and the speed at which the shaft is rotating and the life, for what life you want to design your bearing. Okay, so this is the minimum requirement for selection process. For the first step in the selection process, we have taken as a given data. Second step in the selection process of rolling contact or anti-friction bearing is determining the L10 life. This L10 life is nothing but the life of the bearing in number of revolution with 90% reliability. Okay, so if the life is given in terms of hours, if the expected life or the rated life is given in terms of hours, then it is called L10H life. Okay, if life is given in terms of million of revolution or in revolution, it is called L10 life. If the life is given in terms of hours, rated life, or the expected life is given in terms of hours, then it is called L10H life. Okay, mind it, the definition of rated life is corresponding to the life of apparently identical bearings which will show a certain number of revolution with only 10% of failure from that group which is we are testing. So this L10 life relates to the life which is at the reliability of 90%. Okay, and we are always interested in this rated life. Okay, if in any problem the life is given in terms of hours, so we will convert that life in hours, rated life in hours, into number of revolution, that is Elton life, and the formula for that is number of RPM, the rotation of the shaft, multiplied by rated life in hours into 60. Why we are multiplying it with 60? Because we are converting the hours into minutes and we are having the RPM. So if we multiply the minutes for which the bearing has to be survived and multiply with the RPM, then we will have the number of revolution. And we divide it with by 10 to the power 6 to convert the life into million of revolution. In general, we consider the bearing life in terms of million of revolution. Suppose if in any problem the bearing life is given at other than 90% reliability. That means, suppose it is given that the average life of the bearing is something. This average life means the reliability is 50%. In some question, it may be asked, it may be given that the reliability is at 85%. That means what is given? It is given L15 life, because we always define the life in terms of failure. So if 80% reliability is bearing is having, that means the life which is given in the problem, it is L15 life, and we have to find out L10 life. So from the viable distribution of probability curve, we are having this relationship L 1 minus R into 100. Suppose reliability is 85%, that means R is equal to 0.85. So this L 1 minus 0.85 is equal to that will be equal to 0.15 multiplied by 100, it will give L15 life. Okay, so whatever is the life at the 85% reliability, it will be L1 minus R into 100 life, that is L15 life, divided by L10 life is equal to 6.85 log base n 1 by R whole to the power 1 over 1 by 1.17. This is the standard formula for converting the any life at any reliability into the L10 life. So with the help of this formula, you can convert the life of the bearing at any reliability into the 90% reliability. So you can find out the life at 90% reliability from any reliability life. Okay. So the first step is to find out L10 life. Then the second step is to find out the bearing number. To check the bearing number, to select the bearing number, we will check different bearings for loading. Okay. In the design problem or in the selection process, we start our selection with the deep groove ball bearing. If nothing is given in your problem, that what type of bearing you are using, we will start always with deep groove ball bearing. Okay, and with the deep groove ball bearing, we will start our checking with the light load series. Why we are starting this are checking from light load series, not with the extremely light load series, because the data which is given in your machine design data book written by Reddy and Mahadevan, the data of extremely light and extra light load series is not given. So we are bound to check our bearing with the light load series. So by fixing the type of bearing and by fixing the type of loading series, we have fixing the first two number of the bearing. Suppose we have selected the deep groove ball bearing, that first digit will be 6, and if we are selecting the light load series, that means the second digit of the bearing number will be 2, and the last two digit of the bearing number will be decided by the diameter of the shaft. If the diameter of the shaft is given, then we divide this diameter of the shaft by 5, and whatever is the number, that number will be associated with the first two digits. Suppose the shaft diameter is given 45 mm. So we will divide this 45 mm by 5. We will have 9. we will write this 9 as 09 because we have to find out last two digits. So this 9 will be written as 09 and the bearing number will be 6209. Once we have find out this bearing number 6209, okay, then we will use our design data book table number 16.9, okay, and different tables are given for roller and ball bearings. So these tables are given from table number 16.9 to table number 16.4 between page number 387 to page number 396 in your machine design data book written by Mahadevan and Reddy. Okay, so I'll show you the table number 16.59, then how we find out the dynamic load capacity and static load capacity of the selected bearing. Okay, so as the our number is coming out 6209. Okay, so if the number is coming out 6209, that means this 6209 corresponding to this, and this data is given in your table number 16.9. So from here we can read the value of static basic capacity in static condition and basic capacity in dynamic condition. That is a static load rating and this is the dynamic load rating. So we will write down this C naught and C, where C naught is the static load capacity of the bearing and C is the dynamic load capacity of the bearing. So from these tables, we can have the value of dynamic load rating C and static load rating C naught. Once we find out the bearing, which we are checking that this bearing is suitable or not, okay, we have to find the dynamic load rating and the static load rating for that particular bearing. And then we have to find out the equivalent dynamic load which is acting over the bearing, because as I've seen that in many of the conditions the load is not only of one type, either radial or axial. The load may be of combined type. That means axial and radial load both are acting. So we have to calculate the dynamic equivalent load. This dynamic equivalent load can be found from this equation which is given on page number 372, equation number 16.6 in your machine design data book. So this equation is given in your data book and this X and Y and V are given in table number 16.3 at page number 381 in your machine design data book written by Mahadevan and Reddy. So now the procedure of finding X, V and Y is hidden in this table 16.3. So we will see how we can calculate X, Y and V to find out the equivalent load for the rolling contact bearing, dynamic equivalent load for rolling contact bearing. So first of all, to find out, if you see the table 16.3, this is the table 16.3 in which different type of bearings are given in this table. Okay, and data are given for different type of bearings. The first bearing is non-filling slot assembly radial contact groove ball bearing. So this data is for the deep groove ball bearing. Okay, in deep groove ball bearing, this X is for single row bearing and this for double row bearing. Similarly, the Y is given for single row bearing and this Y is given for double row bearing. There is a mistake in your machine design data book in column number 8. This value of X is for FA upon VFR greater than E. So you have to correct your data book because the symbol should be of greater than sign. Okay, so you please correct your machine design data book written by Madhavan Reddy by changing this sign by greater than or equal to. Okay, so now we have to use this table to find out x and y and v. If we see, the v can be find out by deciding that which race is rotating. In general, the inner race is kept rotating and outer race is kept fixed. So by default, if nothing is mentioned in the problem, by default we consider the inner race is rotating. And for the inner race rotating, for the deep groove ball bearing, the V value is 1. And if it is given that the outer race is rotating and inner race is fixed, then the value of V is taken as 1.2. But in normal case, by default, we take V is equal to 1 because inner race is, we are considering inner race is rotating. Now to find out the X and Y, first thing which we have to calculate is F naught by C. So what we will do, first we find out this value FA upon C naught. This FA is nothing but it is the axial load which is coming over the bearing. Okay. And C naught we have find out from the table, for which we are checking the bearing is suitable for the application or not. So this C naught will be comes out from step number 3. That is the static load rating of the bearing. This FA upon C naught will be calculated, and this FA, once we have calculated the FA upon C naught, we find the value of small e. This is the error factor. Okay, this error factor E, which is given in your table number 16.3 in machine design data book in column number 14. Okay, so if suppose we are having FA upon C naught is equal to 0.08, if we are having the value of FA upon C naught is equal to 0.08, so the corresponding value of 0.08, the value of E is equal to 0.22. So the corresponding to the FA upon C naught value 0.028, the value of E is coming out 0.22. So by using this value E, okay, we compare that the value of E, FA upon VFR is greater than E or less than E. If the value of FA upon VFR is greater than E, then X will be equal to 0.55. Mind it, this sign is incorrect in your machine design data book. You have to convert this sign by greater than and equal to. If the value of E is less than that FA upon VFR, that means the FA upon VFR is greater than E, then X will be equal to 0.56. And Y will be calculated corresponding to the value of E. If FA upon VFR is greater than E. So if FA upon VFR is coming out greater than E, what we will do? We will take X is equal to 0.56 and Y is equal to, that is for single row deep groove ball bearing is 1.99. So corresponding to E, we will select the Y. Suppose if this FA upon VFR is lesser than E, then it is given in the same table on the next page that if FA upon VFR is less than E, take X is equal to 1 and Y is equal to 0. That means in that case, the axial load effect on the bearing will be almost negligible. So by finding out the value of V, X and Y, we are able to find out the value of equivalent load P. So the method of finding out X and Y are again iterated here, that is find FA upon C naught, find out the value of E corresponding to the value of FA upon C naught, in table number 16.3. Then find out V. If inner race is rotating, V is equal to 1. If outer race is rotating, then V is equal to 1.2. Find X by checking FA upon V FR is greater than E, then take X is equal to 0.56 and Y will be corresponding to FA upon C naught or corresponding to E. Then checking FA upon if FA upon VFR is less than E, then X will be equal to 1 and Y is equal to 0. So this is the method for finding out radial load factor X and axial load factor Y to find out the equivalent load. Now, once we have find out the equivalent dynamic equivalent load by knowing the value of X and Y, and we are having the value of expected life or the rated life, that means we are having the rated life corresponding to this equivalent load. And one thing also we are having that the dynamic load rating of any bearing, the dynamic load rating of the bearing is corresponding to the rated life of 1 million. So from here we will find the dynamic load capacity of the bearing for which we are checking the bearing suitable or not. One standard value of the same bearing we have taken from the machine design data book table number 16.9 that we have noted down earlier. That value is C table. Now we are calculating the dynamic load capacity from the loading condition. So the dynamic load condition corresponding to the 1 million revolution, we will use the load life relationship, that is this L1 upon L2 is equal to P2 by P1 to the power A, and we have selected the ball bearing, so the A value will be equal to 3. So we can convert this value P is equal to C, because if we are considering P2 is equal to P and L2 is equal to L and P1 is equal to C, then L1 should be, because the rated life corresponding to the dynamic load capacity C is equal to 1 million. So L1 will be equal to 1, and we are having the L10 life in number of million of revolution. So we can write down this P equivalent load is equal to C divided by L to the power 1 by 3. Okay, so by using this load life relationship, we are able to find out the value of dynamic load capacity calculated from this formula. Okay, so once we have find out the value of C calculated, we will compare that if the value of C table is greater than this C calculated or less than C calculated. If the C calculated is lesser than the C table, that means the whatever selection we have made, the bearing number which we have selected for the particular application is correct, and this bearing will be suitable for the particular application. But if this value does not satisfy this condition, that is C calculated is lesser than C table, then what we have to do? We have to repeat the process for the next load series. Okay, from the step number 3. And what is the step number 3? Step number 3 is selecting the bearing number. So the bearing number will again be the first selection is type of ball bearing, that is we have taken deep groove ball bearing, and second number we will increase the load series, that is 3. Then the now number will be 63, and the last two digit will remain same because the diameter is same. We will take 09. So now the next bearing which we will select is 6309. Then we will again find out from the table number 16.10 that static load rating and dynamic load rating C and C naught, and again we will find out the equivalent load, and we will again find the C calculated and compare with the C table of the new C table. Okay, Then if again the bearing is not satisfying, then we'll go for the next series, that is 64 series. Okay, so in this manner we will keep on increasing the bearing number or bearing type we will change to find out the correct bearing for the particular application. Okay, so for the better understanding, what we will do, we'll attempt an numerical. Now I'm going to solve a numerical by using this method. Okay, so before solving the numerical, there are some factors which are of importance, like shock factor. If there is a shock condition in the bearing, okay, so we have to increase the equivalent load by the shock factor. Suppose if there is a light shock, then the shock factor should be taken as 1.1. If the shock condition is medium shock, then we have to take shock factor as 1.25. And if the condition of shock is very high, so then we take the shock factor as 1.5. And when the shock condition is there, we multiply this equivalent dynamic load with this shock factor. That means this P will be multiplied by this shock factor. If anybody or any of the thing, any of the shock factor is given. Now, the second important factor is the temperature effect. So, below 125 degrees centigrade, the bearing are the rolling contact bearing works perfect. That means there is no reduction in their dynamic load capacity. But if we are working over the more than 125 degrees centigrade or equal to 125 degrees centigrade, the bearing load dynamic load rating of the bearing reduces, or the capacity of load, dynamic load is reduced by the given percentage in your table number 16.8. If the temperature is 125 degree, the your dynamic load capacity given in your data book will be considered lesser than 5%. Whatever given in the data book, we will reduce that value by 5%. That means we will take the C table for checking as 95% of the C table. If the temperature is 125, so on, 150 for 10%, 175 for 15%. And how we will use this vector, we will see in the next numerical. So the numerical is select a ball bearing for 40 mm shaft with, if this bearing must have expected life 500 hours. The shaft is carrying an axial load 3.5 kilonewton and radial load of 6 kilonewton at a speed of 1440 rpm with light shock. The operating temperature is 125 degrees centigrade. Now, first of all, we'll write down the given data. So the given data is diameter is 40, Fa is 3.5, Fr is 6 kilonewton, T operating is 125, and another thing is given that RPM of the shaft is given as 1440, which I have not write down. So please consider the RPM has to be written in the given data, that is 1440. Okay, and L10 H life, that expected life or rated life is the same thing. So expected life is given in the 500 hours. That means L10 H life is given. So L10 H life is given as 500 hours. So first step we have seen that we have to convert this L10 H life into L10 life. So converting this L10 H life into L10 life by multiplying it by RPM, multiplying it with 60 and divided by 10 to the power 6 to convert it into the million of revolution. So the value comes out is equal to 43.2 million of revolution. Okay. Now the second step is to find out the bearing number for first checking. So if we see, we'll start with the deep groove ball bearing with light load series. That means the first two digit of the bearing number is fixed, that is 62, and the shaft diameter is 40. So the last two digit will be 40 divided by 5. that will be equal to 0.8. So the bearing number which we have to check is 62.08, that is suitable for the application or not. In the third step, we have find out the dynamic load capacity of the bearing C and the static load capacity of the bearing C naught from our machine design data book from table number 16.9. This is the 16.9. Our selection is 6208. The 6208 is here. We have noted down the C naught value and C value. C naught value is 15,495. C value is 22,165. So we have write down these values C and C naught here. So now the next step, you have to find out the equivalent load. So for finding out equivalent load, we will use the table number 16.3. So first step for finding out this equivalent load is to find out X and Y. So for finding out X and Y, first we have find out the value of FA upon C naught. The FA is given in given data is 3.5 kilonewton, that is 3.5 into 10 to the power 3 divided by C naught, that is 15,495. This comes out 0.23. Now, if we see the value of FA upon C naught is equal to 0.23 is not given in your column number 4. But we know that this value will be lies in between somewhere 0.17 and 0.28. So what we will do, we will perform the interpolation. Okay, the value of corresponding 0.17 is given for E, and the value of F upon C naught for 0.28 is given for E. That is 0.34 and 0.38 respectively. So by interpolation, we can find out the value of E. And interpolation is nothing but it is a unitary method. If the difference for the difference of 0.11 for the one quantity is equal to 0.04, then what will be the difference for one unit? That will be equal to 0.11 divided by 0.04. Okay, and then we have to find out the value of 0.23. That means it is lesser than 0.05 from 0.28. So we'll multiply the value of 0.11 divided by 0.04 into 0.05. Okay, so we will getting the value of your that means for 0.04 divided by 0.11 multiplied by 0.05. So by doing this, we will able to find out the difference for difference of the E for 0.05 unit. Okay, so if we reduce that value, that difference value from 0.38, because the E is constantly increasing, and this value 0.23 F upon C naught will be before the 0.28 value. So this value will be lesser than 0.38. And when you calculate by interpolation, this E value will be equal to 0.36. I have explained the interpolation method because many of the people do not know how this interpolation has been is done. So this interpolation is nothing but it is a unitary method. Okay. So we have calculated the in-between value of 0.17 and 0.28, the value of 0.23. The value of E corresponding to F upon C naught 0.23 is comes out. E is equal to small this I have written down this capital E, but please consider this is as small e, this corresponding to this column number 14. So by interpolation, this value will be equal to 0.36. As the nothing is given as for the which race is rotating, we will by default we will consider the inner race is rotating, that V is equal to 1. Now we have to find out FA upon V FR. This FA upon V FR will comes out 0.58, that is greater than E. So we'll take X is equal to 0.56 because FA upon V FR is equal to 0.58 is greater than E. Mind it, this symbol you have to change in your data book. This is incorrect. This should be greater than E. If FA upon VFR is greater than E, then you have to take X is equal to 0.56. Now, as FA upon VFR is greater than E, so we will consider the value of Y corresponding to the value of E is equal to 0.56. Again, we perform the interpolation and find the value of Y is equal to 1.22 corresponding to E. Now we are having V, we are having X, we are having Y. So we are able to find out the equivalent load. And this equivalent load will come out 8393 Newton. That is 8,393 Newton. Now we can use the load life relationship. And this load life relationship is C is equal to P into L to the power 1 by 3. We have the rated life corresponding to the load, equivalent load P, that is 43.2, which we have calculated in the first step. Okay, 43.2 million. And we know that the rated life corresponding to the rated and dynamic rated load is 1 million. So by using this load life relationship, we are able to find out C calculated, and C calculated comes out 29,449. And what is the value of C from the table is 22,165. And at the same time, the bearing is operating at 125 degrees centigrade. So we have to reduce this value by 5%. Okay, that means only 0.95 times of this value is to be checked with the C calculated, and that's from that this C calculated is coming greater than the C table, so the bearing is not suitable. Okay, so we have to go into the another iteration. So the another iteration starts from the right from the step number 3. Okay, now we'll select the bearing number 6308. And for the bearing number 6308, we will find out the value of C and C naught from the table. And for 6308 bearing, the value of C and C naught are 20,990 for static load rating and 31,381 for dynamic load rating. Okay, so we have write down these values here. Dynamic load capacity 31,380 and static load rating 20,990 Newton. Okay, 20,990 Newton. So now we will find out FA upon C naught, as we have find out in the previous question. Mistakenly, I have write down here 58. So I'll correct it. Calculation is right. So it will be 3.5 into 1000, because we have to convert kilonewton into Newton, divided by loading static load capacity, that will comes out 0.17. Now we will calculate the E corresponding to 0.17. This corresponding to the value of F upon C naught is comes out 0.17, and 0.17 is given in your column number 4. So the corresponding to this 0.17, the value of E is 0.34. So we have write down the value of E is equal to 0.34. This FA upon VFR is comes out 0.58, that is greater than E. So we'll consider the value of y corresponding to the value of E, that is comes out 1.31. So value of y will be equal to 1.31 because FA upon VFR is greater than E and FA upon VFR is greater than E. So we'll take x is equal to 0.56. Okay. So by again using the equivalent dynamic load formula, we will find out the value of this equivalent load. Mind it, we have to multiply it with the 1.1 like we have multiplied in the previous question by 1.1 by considering the light load shock, because it is given in the problem that the condition of the shock is the with light shock, and the with light shock we are having the service factor is 1.1. So we have to multiply this equivalent load with 1.1. From here, the value of equivalent load comes out 8739.5. Now we will find out the dynamic load rating calculated by using load life relationship. And if you use this load life relationship, C is equal to P into L to the power 1 by 3, you will have the C calculated is 30,665 Newton. Now if you see, the C calculated is lesser than the values given in the tables in data book, that is C is equal to 31,380. But we cannot use this value C table because the bearing is operating at 125 degrees. So we have to consider the value for checking 95% of this value. That means 0.95 multiplied by this C table, and the value which we have to check, the calculated value is 29,811, which is lesser than C calculated, or C calculated is greater than C table. So this bearing is also not suitable for the particular bearing, particular application. So we have to again go for the next expression. If such type of question is coming in your examination, you have to show at least 2 iterations. If in the 2 iteration your bearing is not suitable, then we will write in the similar manner by checking the higher load capacity bearing. We select the right bearing for the application, that may be 6408, because next series is 6408, or the other type of bearing. So in this manner you can solve the rolling contact bearing selection problem for finding out the suitability for the particular application. So in the next lecture we will discuss some more numericals on the rolling contact bearings. Thank you for now.